Well, I'll tell you this much. Guy you see in the picture here is a YouTuber by the name of, which I'm sure quite a few of you are probably familiar with, Donovan Sharpe. And what I wanted to talk about is, see, this picture here is a picture from one of his podcasts that he did, where he talked about um, his time on Valuetainment with Adam Sosnick on Sosnick's podcast, where he had a show where he has women on there, and it's kind of similar to the setup that Fresh and Fit, but of course not quite as, you know, advanced. But basically, I don't per se want to talk about Donovan Sharpe, but what I want to do is I want to make a point here, which is that, you know, Donovan Sharpe has been on YouTube for a long time. He's been a red pill guy or manosphere type guy for a long time. He's had videos out and everything else. He's had some other guys in the red pill that have been on for a long time, like Roll Tomasi. He's had, Fresh and Fed. He's had Mr. Jab. He's had um, Coach Greg Adams. He's had Kevin Samuels. He's had a who's who of guys in the red pill space on his show. And he's helped promote some of the careers of some of these guys, all right? But I want to use the situation that I say this video came out about 5 months ago, where Donovan was talking about how he's basically cut ties with Valuetainment and Sosnick, even though he's still friendly. Like it's no animosity, but from a business standpoint, I guess he felt like it wasn't worth it because he was on a show on Adam Sosnick's podcast with these women, and I guess Donovan felt that he wasn't given the respect due from the people on the panel, the females on the panel, and that Adam really didn't do much to check them for their disrespect. But this is my issue with Donovan Sharpe. I believe I've actually called in a show before, and I agreed on some things, but I'm gonna tell you what, I'm hoping that Donovan realizes something. Is that some of the people who you are friendly with or you call yourself friends with may not be very much your friends. You know, I kind of feel bad for him, but then again, I don't. Because I will say that some of the stuff I feel like he brought himself because, I don't know, I guess maybe he has certain hopes or he's more optimistic than he should be with some of these people. But the reality is, and I'm just going to say it, you know, I feel there's a lot of people who benefit from black YouTubers, and at the end of the day, once they've been able to benefit from, you know, being in their space or having certain level of association with them, they just kind of discard them like, old pair of sock, Like, I'll say for one, I'm not a big fan of Adam Sosnick to begin with for other reasons. For some political reasons, some of his political views I'm definitely not crazy about because I'm pretty sure I know what camp he comes out of. And I'm kind of surprised in a way that Donovan doesn't seem to get that. Why would Adam care that much about you? Because the reality of it is, to me, he's the type of person that's not going to be that entrenched with somebody like Donovan. Let me just say it that way. And the other fact of the matter is, if you look at Valuetainment, they have a lot of big guests on the show, but you know, they don't tend to have very many black American, let's just say that, black American guests. I think the last one that I saw that they had on the show that's actually a black American was Judge Joe Brown. But, Fresh and Fit, they're not black Americans, or at least they're not technically foundational black American heritage, neither one of them. Caribbeans, the African continent, Sudan, stuff like that, Arab descent. So they're not technically in the bloodline of actual foundational black Americans. Roland Martin is neither. I think he was going to have. I think that PVD was going to have. He was going to have Jason Whitlock on there, but there became a little bit of conflict of time, and they had a little disagreement, and he ended up not being on the show. But I think that this should be a lesson to a lot of us that we don't really have any friends. Some of us, I mean, you know, there's some other people that Donovan, I think, has basically helped promote them on their way up. And in the long run, they've kind of left him behind. Now, you know, but this is what happens, to be honest with you, to black people. This was what happened to black people since the beginning of time in this country. I mean, we have some great ideas. We have a lot of talent. We make some major contributions, and then it becomes appropriated by other people. But see, here's the whole thing. Everybody borrows from everybody else, but it seems to be that people don't just borrow from us. They just literally, the stealing, the cultural vulturism comes from the fact that they don't give credit to the creator. It's fine to borrow, but it's only borrowing when you give credit to the original creator. But people like to take stuff from us and not give credit to the actual creators. It's the same way with the whole situation with who started rap, and that conflict, which everybody knows that knows anything about history, that was created by black American men, foundational black American men. Wasn't started in Jamaica, wasn't started in all these other countries or these other groups in this country. This was solely created by black Americans. Say what they want to say. But, it's just one of those, this is just one of those things where you sit there and you look and you say, bro, these people have no problem associating you on your way up, but then once they get in a certain position, a lot of times you just become irrelevant. And I'm not saying all of them, but you need to be aware of the position you're in, no matter how well you speak, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how much work you do. There's always this level of certain groups of people are going to look at black men in particular as, either they're going to see you as somewhat as competition, or they're just going to disregard you in the long run. It's just been going on from the beginning of time. And I think that I'm hoping that a lot of us, and again, I think this is somewhat of a cautionary tale. I mean, look, I watched, there was a podcast, a little piece of it, where there was someone that was on the show, I forgot his name, but he was talking about the Israel-Palestinian conflict, and this guy outright called Adam a racist. And, people will say, well, wow, that's hitting below the belt, or that's pulling a race car, or whatever. You know what? Not for nothing, sometimes the shoe does actually fit. But that seems to be something that just gets denied these days. And I'm not saying I know Adam personally, because I don't. I don't know him personally. I don't know that he's racist or not. But I'm just saying, sometimes the shoe actually does fit. It's not always just a slur to call somebody that because you can't win the argument. That's not always the case. Sometimes people are actually dead on when they say it. It's just considered now bad manners to call somebody racist, even if they are. That's what has become the thing now, But, I just hope that somebody like Donovan realizes that you always got to be skeptical, man. Sometimes you just got to be. I mean, you got to be skeptical of other black people. But, he was very dismissive of the situation with Fresh and Fit with Myron wearing that Klan hood and having Nick Fuentes on the show using the N word and all sort of stuff like it was a joke. And I actually listened to the podcast where somebody in his comment section addressed him on that when they got demonetized, and someone had submitted that, hey, maybe part of the reason why they got demonetized is because some of that other stuff that they did with the Klan outfit thing and all the other stuff with Nick Fuentes on there and using that word and making all a big joke and all the insults that Myron in particular has, you know, thrown at black people, American blacks. You know, that may have been something that contributed to it. And Donovan was like, "No, I don't think so." And he went as far as even say to the person, "Oh, you must have came from nigger tube." Just how dismissive he was of that. And as far as going and saying, like, "Come on, man, let's be serious. The black community is a joke." But the thing is, Donovan, you're still black. And maybe the fact of the matter is we don't all align with some of the behavior, some of the ratchet behavior that we know there's dysfunction. I mean, we know there's dysfunction in the black community. We get that. But let's be real. On some level or another, we still get broad brushed by people sometimes, even whether they say it or not, whether they outright say it or not. And the fact of the matter is, that's still, you know, when you got a man out here wearing a Klan hood like it's a joke, realize that they're making fun of our history, Donovan, despite the flaws that we have in our community. And that's not something to joke about. Because the thing about it is, if Myron was actually a foundational black American, I don't know that he would be so cool and loose about doing something like that. Being doing a parody or a caricature is that just wouldn't go. That doesn't go over well. I don't know if he'd be comfortable with that. But then, unless he was maybe one of the biggest coons on the streets out here or online, then maybe. But I mean, look, Dave Chappelle did that blind Ku Klux Klan member, but that was a joke. You know what I mean? The Clinton Bixby thing, that was all a joke. You know what I mean? But what Myron did was just basically giving a proverbial middle finger to black people in their history. And I think that's something that we got to look at. We can't just, squeak by this stuff. We got to understand that we have to know that we have to be in a position where we understand that we are, as a group, whether it's, no matter how we behave individually, a lot of us still look at us as a group, as a monolith, whether they come out and say it or not. And whether they're your friends or not, I don't care what color they are. I don't think that you should accept whether it's a passive-aggressive form or a direct form of disrespect. Because to be honest with you, I feel that Adam doesn't respect Donovan all that much. I just feel by what Donovan said about how, Adam allowed those females to treat him on the podcast and insult him and cut him off and then come back. And then when Donovan came, hit him back, then all of a sudden he wants to start moderating. Right? So that, to me, that's a testament to basically how he basically feels. That's why I think if Donovan hasn't come to terms with that, hopefully he has by now, if he didn't at that time. So again, folks, remember, we can't allow ourselves to be disrespected, no matter how subtle it is. And that's why sometimes that's why it is important to understand. I mean, look, you got people like Sneeko, too, that got slick stuff to say about black people. It's funny because you hear certain groups of people, and Adam Sosnick's part of the group that I'm going to say I'm talking about, which is that a lot of them will claim that they're the only group the minority group that can be openly hated. Well, that's a lie. Okay, it's amazing because, again, blacks are the number one victims of race hate crimes in this country. We always have been. But now, it's the victim of liberty. But guess what? Somehow we're the most privileged class. We're the most racist. We just go around here, you know, just whipping the crap out of white people at astronomical numbers. It's a game, man. And don't play with them, you know? We have to engage in self-preservation and self-protection of our intellectual property rights. We need to insist on it. Stop helping people that don't help you in the long run. Okay? Whatever they do for you, you do for them the same amount and vice versa. At the end of the day, same way with business. Certain groups of people, they give you 50 cents. If they're outside your group, give them 50 cents. They give you 10 cents, give them 10. They give you nothing, same thing. Yeah, we got to stop being so naive, some of us, or so wishful that maybe if I just show people that, that I'm down, or that, you know, I'm willing to do the work along with them, and, show them that I'm not sensitive and all that sort of stuff, then you know what, maybe they'll include me in the group. That's not going to be the case, because the reality of it is, what you got to accept is they still don't see you the same. And some of these people, very well, you may see as your friends, but you have to think about that uncomfortable reality. Is how much of their friends are you? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if they don't see you as an equal, you probably don't really want to see those people as friends. Do business with them, but don't put any trust in them. We got to start, keeping our veins cold when it comes to business, folks. And we need to make sure that we protect our interests and our intellectual property rights, and make sure that we control our image, And when you got folks out here putting this out there, then no, we shouldn't co-sign that stuff. And I'm actually disappointed with Donovan, the fact that he co-signed that nonsense, that buffoonery that Myron and them guys engaged in when they had Nick Fuentes on the show. Because they really didn't prove any point but the fact that how much disdain and disrespect that some people have for certain groups of people. I'm out.